Bob, it is good to see you. So I was on a flight recently from San Francisco, and as it always happens, surprise, surprise, the flight was late. But the lady at the front desk was telling everyone that, hey, listen, guys, we know your flight's late, but we're going to be boarding in 30 minutes. While she was saying that, I was online and I already knew that the flight was canceled. So before most people who were sitting there could get in line and talk to this lady, I was already rescheduling my flight. And what occurred to me is this was one of those instances where all the people at that gate who chose the human option, they waited in line. The service representative, she was rude. And I interacted with a machine, if you will, with automation. And my automated service had bedside manners and I got better service. So I'm going to say something that I doubt many customers who are listening to us have said recently. Is it possible that the bots are better than the humans, at least when it comes to airline travel?
I think it's possible. I'm not going to debate whether the bot is better than the person, other than to say that are better than waiting in line at the counter. But I am going to say I think our tip to our listeners today is you should have the app
Hmm.
on your phone, because I believe that is the fastest interaction that you can possibly have with the airlines, is what you're able to do on your phone. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I worked as a consultant. This was in probably 2001 ish, 2002, somewhere in that neighborhood, at a large airline, which we won't say their name, but it's Delta. Um, and we were working on what later became this was a long time ago, but it became the idea that you're going to scan your ticket, and the
Right.
idea that the display is going to show you where you are in relationship to upgrades, that it's going to give you the update. And so what I think happened, um, in the story that you talked about, not to geek out about this, but I
Right.
think we're running off of two different databases. She's running off of her mainframe in front of her, and I don't know if you've ever had that before, but I've had somebody, I go up and I go, so we're running 15 minutes late. And she goes, no, we're on
No.
time. And I'm like, well, behind you says we're running 15 minutes late. So I think there's some data issues that are still out there, where there's two different pieces of data. But, people ask me, since you retired, or do you miss flying?
Right.
And I miss being with people. I miss that part of it, but I don't miss getting to Dallas, or I don't miss getting to New York. Uh,
And
but I'm going to say that the online option is probably even better than the bots in my mind, or the app option is probably better than the bots. But if you got a great experience from a bot, I would mark down who that airline is and make sure that, if I've got two different choices here, I'm gonna choose A over B, because I know that if I get delayed, A is gonna help me quickly.
yeah, so the name of our show is Customer Happiness. So let's give folks some tips on if you are going to be traveling online. I heard Bob you say if you're going to be traveling air travel, get the app. Like if you don't have the app, I know we've got too many apps. Get the app. And then understand, I think the inside knowledge that I think we bring to the show is what Bob's saying there is understand that there are two systems. And sometimes you, the consumer, will know more than the employee of the airline. Like that sounds crazy to me, Bob, when I say it out loud.
It does.
But it's true. So understanding that is relevant. What about if I do have to call? Because what I didn't also say in the story was ultimately, I mean, this flight kept getting delayed and canceled. I did have to get on the phone. What would you say to folks there when you do have to get on the phone?
Well, that person is probably, by the fact that you just waited 20 minutes to get on the phone, let's first understand that that person probably has been talking for that 20 minutes.
Right.
And they have the power to fix your problem.
Yep.
So, you know, being nice goes a long ways. Now,
Yes.
you're frustrated. You're
Yep.
sitting in the terminal. You're delayed. I'm not going to make it to my flight to go to Cancun. I'm going to delay my trip to Cancun by a day. I've already paid for, like, I get it's all mushed up inside you. And you finally got the person after 20 minutes and you just want to tell them something. The reality is they don't care at its core. They care about you. They want to make you better, but they don't care about that. They just want to fix your problems. So if you can bring it down to the facts, then you can get better response. So my name is James Furness. My number is X. I have been delayed. I'm in Dallas. I'm trying to get home to Memphis tonight. I see that there's not another flight online for tonight. Can you check and make sure that's true? And if there's not, is there any way you can move me to another airline? Uh, so so you want to give the person options. You want to say, you want to show that you're a seasoned traveler. Even if
Yep.
you're not a seasoned traveler, you can sound like a seasoned traveler. Uh, and so giving them the details and then waiting and letting them solve. And then the response back is not, well, that's not going to work. The response back is, well, I understand what you're telling me, but are there any other options? Like, is there another airline that I can go to? Is there any other options that avoid me missing my daughter's donuts with dad in the morning? Like,
Right.
whatever that is. Does that make sense? Does that
No,
resonate? Like,
that
on the inside, that agent wants to, I think about the agent at the front desk. You've seen this. You
right.
got some Yahoo standing at the front desk, and he's just berating the person
Right.
behind the desk
Reading
about
them
how the heck did you not take this plane? It's not raining. He's waving his arms, and I always feel like I want to stand up and walk over to the guy and go, "Let me ask you a question, sir. Um, do you not think that she wants you to leave a whole lot worse than you? Like, so so think about that. That person on the phone, they just want to solve your problem.
Yeah.
And they will typically do anything they can to solve your problem if you're nice to them. They have the authority.
I think one of the reasons Bob and I wanted to do this show is bring our experience from the inside to help you get this customer happiness thing. I'll tell you a story that kind of illustrates that very point. I showed up late to a gate many years ago, and the doors were closed. And if you fly frequently, you know that that is apparently written in law. The doors can never open. And as I got to the gate, this man was at the gate doing exactly that, Bob. All the hands, and he was gone. I showed up next behind him. So he was gone, and I said, man, I'm going to miss my son's football game, blah, blah, blah. I understand. Can you help me get on the next flight to get back to Oklahoma City? And next thing I know, she said, we don't usually do this, but she radioed in someone. And those doors that never open under any circumstance
I've only
She
had it
was
happen one time in my life. So
right.
as much flying as I've done, they only opened that door one time.
And
So
this is like those gates that never open because I suspect she didn't say this, but because of the contrast, he had just been yelling at her and it got pretty contentious. And I show up. I apologized for him. I didn't even ask her to open the gate. I was just like, hey, you okay? Da 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 da. And it's because you and I both understand the other side. You know, we're service people. And the gates opened. I got home. I got looks on the plane once because they'd already like done their thing and
it's
people were
okay.
getting
I'm going
what's
home. You can look at me all you want to. I'm going home.
uh but that is understanding. So we do hope that you've gotten some tips on where to use machine, where to use automation, where to use the human. Because Bob, the reason we do this show is to help you guys, get better service based on the information we can share with you on here.
Yeah. And just my final thought is just to remember that that person by and far by the the percentage of people that start out not wanting to help you is pretty low.
Yeah.
Now, I saw someone the other day, a gate agent, be really rude to a person because they stepped up into the line on an airline that you have to line up by numbers, and they were 3 numbers off with their boyfriend. Now, now that person wasn't going to let you on the plane.
No, no, it didn't
I'm
matter.
getting to work going, I'm trying to find people I can throw off the plane. But by and large, being nice is the ticket to getting on a plane.
Awesome. Let's leave it there. This has been another great conversation. We actually agreed this week, which is a nice change. And for those of you listening, please like, subscribe, and share this show with your friends. And we'll talk to you next time.